The Writer Circle of Durham Region panel discussion continues now, this time looking at what it's like for a writer to go alone. You work as an independent writer, everyone talks about the loneliness of writing. Well, there's a certain amount of that as you face the screen, as you are writing your epic Canadian novel. But does that mean you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning eager to go to the typewriter, go to the keyboard? This is a long life, right? Or do you just sort of wait till you get out of bed at maybe 10, have a coffee and your jammies, and then maybe around noon sort of saunter down the hall to the study? And Dawn has a lot of experience working alone. What is it like to have this self-discipline that working alone in every aspect of writing requires?
Well, I'm the 5 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. person. Often I would get up at that hour. Usually that's when the thoughts are coming in, and start writing. And really I had a passion for what I was doing, so it wasn't difficult. There were some lonely days because I wasn't sharing my work with anybody in the beginning. So you really just have to plug away at it. But as I said, I did find some resources along the way. I joined the Writer Circle of Durham Region, and they've been a great resource for me. A lot of great people with different experiences, and I had a chance to meet a lot of them and get some motivation to keep going.
Were you a born time manager? Did you have that instinctively?
Yes, I am. So I do gauge my time daily, weekly, and I did have an end date in mind. I wanted to be published by the spring, and I was.
Good for you.
So I work towards the end. That's how I usually work.
Okay, who likes to sit around in his or her jammies if they have the opportunity and not really get at the keyboard until it's absolutely necessary?
Beer is nice, beer too.
Talk about it.
It's, I think I delude myself into thinking that I have to wait until the muse comes, and that it's time for me to write when it's time for me to write. When everything's in, all the mood is in the whatever that song
The
is.
stars are aligned.
Yeah, in Aquarius, all that. So when that happens, oh, here it comes, and I can sit there and I can write. And I've gone a whole month like that, where I would just write nonstop, and then I go like 6 months and not write anything. So it's not very efficient. It's not very efficient. I like to think I'm very good, but very rarely good.
They say the busiest people are the most creative, the most productive.
Yes.
Ruth, your life is busy with a couple of careers, a number of careers, and the work that you do in the Writer's Circle.
Right.
How do you fit in the writing, and does it benefit your writing to have that tight time management in your life?
It does and it doesn't, right? There are times when it helps me bring a focus to the work. I also do freelance writing and all kinds of different writing. So I am juggling a lot of different demands and deadlines around my writing. It's a tough call because it varies, right? There are days when I can go down 5 o'clock in the morning. I can go down in my jammies, cup of tea, preferably. But during the week, coffee, weekends, tea. Anyways, down at the computer and do some work. I can sit with the book and write by hand, do some work, etc. But I think I work better when I'm within a structure or a frame, and work better off workshop kinds of scenarios that sort of leap me into the next stage with whatever it is I'm working on, and then I disappear. I go into it, and it's not lonely. I'm in there, and all these people are having these interesting conversations, and I'm just recording what they're saying and thinking.
Erin, you work to deadline because you've got a publisher who's expecting your work at a certain time. How do you schedule your time being alone? You don't have someone saying, Erin, get down to that keyboard. You have to do it yourself. How do you do that and meet those deadlines given the other things in your life?
I've got my husband actually saying, Erin, get down to that keyboard.
He understands.
Yes. I also have a 6-year-old daughter, so my writing life kind of goes around the school calendar to a certain extent. She was just off for 2 weeks, so that wasn't writing time, and now she's back in school, and now it's writing time again. I am deadline driven. I like to have a due date, and if I don't have a due date with a publisher, then I'll try to have one with my writing group or something else that I'm working towards, that I know that I need to have this to this person at this time. And even if there's not a publisher behind it, then it helps me keep going. And I guess I'm not sure I feel like I'm going it alone, because my writing life really picked up about 3 years ago when I got serious about it, and a lot of that was not trying to do it on my own. That was when I joined a writing group. That was when I became involved with different organizations, and I think talking to people who are doing the same thing and being in that networking, it challenges you to improve your work, and it also motivates you. So yeah, I think if you're trying to do it all by yourself, it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, and I found the same. I interviewed 4 self-publishers before I decided to jump into this arena, and I went in with my eyes open, and I knew there would be a lot of work involved, and like many of us here, I have other things going on in my life too, so the reason I got up at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning is because everyone was asleep, and I could actually be down there and not taken away from family time or you know, sports or whatever. So that's why I wrote either early in the morning, and James collaborated with me on my first book, and emails going back and forth before 6 a.m., you know, and 11, 12, 1 in the morning as well. So you work around it. I had a deadline for this year because I have 2 more books in the series to get out, so I'm spacing it out 1 year at a time, and that's why I had my own self-imposed deadline. Had to get it done.
Says that we're finished this segment.